Welcome to The Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. This show is going to take you on a journey into the dynamic world of female entrepreneurship. In this show, we're going to celebrate victories, navigate the challenges, and embrace the roller coaster ride of building a business. We're going to dive into the stories of women who have dared to strike out on their own as they share their experiences, insights, and lessons learned. So, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned business owner, join us as we explore the hustle, the thrills, and yes, the spills of entrepreneurship. Let's get it. Guys, welcome back to The Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It is your girl, Keisha, aka Coach K Transforms. And you know I'm back with another informative, entrepreneurial-minded session. Listen, before I get started, you know what I'm going to ask. If you have not already subscribed, if you have not already favorited this on your favorite streaming platforms, then now is the time to do so. If you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and click that little thing so you can get the notifications. But if you're listening on the audio version, then make sure that you favorite the podcast so you don't miss another episode of The Woman's Hustle. All right. Now, if you are here watching on YouTube, then you see I am not here by myself, and I'm going to allow my guest to introduce herself. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Me too. I am
Yeah.
so glad to have you here. Let us know who you are, baby.
Yeah, so hey, my name is Alenka. I'm the founder of SAHA, which is a platform that brings together people who haven't found answers in healthcare to experts based on shared values. We just announced. I'm really excited. It's been a whole journey, and it was not an easy path getting here.
I already know. Well, I am so glad to have you here on The Woman's Hustle because I'm super excited. I mean, you have had previous conversations, so I'm super excited to kind of dive in, to what it is that you do, but to also share your thrills and your spills as well because people just don't get it. We all have them, right? We all have them. And this is exactly why I created this podcast because we all have the thrills and the spills, the ups and the downs, the good things and the bad things. And I don't hear enough people talking about everything. I hear all the good stuff, but I don't hear enough of the bad stuff. And not, I'll say lesson stuff. I don't call it bad stuff. I call it lesson stuff. Okay. So yes. So let us know, how did you get started to what you're doing? Give us a little bit of the backstory, a little history.
Yeah, so it wasn't, like I said, it's been a journey. I have worked in corporate for almost 15 years now. I went through a really horrible burnout, like the type of burnout where you couldn't get out of bed, you couldn't really feed yourself more than a bag of chips. I was grinding my teeth so much I was going to the dentist for emergencies because I was like in excruciating pain. And I have like a high pain tolerance, like most of us
Right.
women do, right? But like
Yeah.
it was god awful. And so I've been working on getting back to myself from that. And in the last couple of years, I learned a lot of things that I would have never thought existed. I didn't know that they existed. And I learned that a lot of people don't know about how to find people that can help you at different points of, whatever you're going through. And it's hard to find people that you trust too. And I was like, well, I build software for a living. I can do this for other people, and I can do this in a way that's really easy, simple, and makes life a lot less about just like, oh, I have to find another doctor to help me, right? Like let's avoid that and find something that's like, I was talking to a friend of mine and she's going through a really horrible burnout herself. She's like, I have to switch psychiatrists because of the way that insurance works. Yeah. And she's like, I have to relive, like your body literally relives traumatic events. And every time she tells the story, she has to feel it in her body. And she's like, I don't want to keep doing this. It's awful. So yeah.
Oh my God. And that's crazy. Like, even though we're talking about entrepreneurship, there are a lot of women out here that are still in corporate America full time, and their entrepreneur journey is just like a part-time thing for them. Totally understandable. I'm gonna be honest, like if I wouldn't have got fired from my job in 2020, who knows where I'd be, if I'd even be where I am right now, if I'd be doing it on a part-time, because I started as a part-time, right? But hey, when I was fired, it was like that decision had to be made. Am I going to find another job and still keep this as a side hustle? or am I going to go ahead and step into this full time? So although that was presented to me, that may not be for everybody. Everybody doesn't want to be a full-time entrepreneur, right? And I feel like we need to talk about that for a second, because
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with you having a business on the side and still working in corporate America. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can do both, but you have to be strategic. You have to
Mhm.
be disciplined. You have to have your time management skills on point, because one of them might want to try to trump the other, and you've got to be intentional in making sure that they stay balanced. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
know that's like even with you, like I know that you have to work towards that balance. How does that work for you some days, most days?
This week has not been so great. So I woke up on Wednesday morning last week. I couldn't move my neck and I had a doctor's appointment. I'm like, I can't check my blind spots as I'm driving. Like, this is dangerous.
Oh my god.
I mean, I'm grateful. Like, I have a friend who like does massage, and like I had already planned on seeing him, and like I have,
Yeah.
systems in place to help with that. But I was thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, so now it's like as good as it's gonna get until I solve it for myself. But
Right.
I launched social media last week. It was really stressful. It
Mm.
was really stressful. I was scared of what my family was going to say, what my friends were going to say, how it was going to go. I made spelling mistakes, like,
Yeah.
like all of this. And I didn't realize, but I was hiking my shoulder up all week every time I had some sort of tension, and it just kind of blew up.
Ooh.
I'm used to paying attention to other parts of my body, like
Yeah.
grinding my teeth, but like my shoulder, like so many people have so much tension. I wasn't paying attention to it. And it was really interesting to me how that kind of escalated to the point of forcing me to pay attention.
Right, yeah, and that is like I love that you even brought that up, right? You weren't paying attention to certain things, you were like you didn't realize until like, oh my God, I can't move this neck, like why? But there was because there was something that you hadn't been doing that you had to instill and put into place. So
Mhm.
that can cause, the tension, and that could cause the stress. And we're not perfect by any means, right? We're not perfect when it comes to, man, listen, y'all, I'll be having things. There's so many things that I have on the burner right now to present like throughout the summer and for the fall. And my excitement, I want to release it all at once. But baby, this mindset and how things are operating business wise, I would be a damn fool to do that. And as
Mhm.
bad as I know that these things that I am bringing out are needed and necessary and wanted, I can't stress myself like that. How was that for you, like launching social media and stuff?
It's one of those things, I think, where whenever we do something scary, we always expect the worst from people. Right? And overall, I would say it was incredibly positive. People like small gestures
Yeah.
that mean a lot. And it's something I was actually talking about with my therapist this morning. Is like
Mm,
we build our expectations of someone's reactions up to the worst case scenario. Like, we reflect what we think they're going to say back on us, but
yes.
that's not usually the case. Usually things are way better than they are, and we don't need to amp ourselves up for like how terrifying or exciting. Like, you really try to like listen and like not stress yourself out in the ways that are counterintuitive. I know it's easy to say and it's like the hardest thing in the world, but
Yeah,
like we can
but
try.
still, and I get it. So I get everything that
Yeah.
you said, and I know that those that are listening can understand that, because the people that are listening here, they're either interested in starting the entrepreneur journey, in the middle of it and stuck, or they're entrepreneurs and they just want to hear that there are other women that are going through it like them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I love to like dig into the personal side of things as well, because one motto that I tell every one of my clients, if you're not ready to work on yourself on a personal note, then you cannot work with me on a business note,
Mhm.
because they have to be aligned. You know what I'm saying? Like your personal has to be aligned. If you're stressing to the max about a bunch of personal stuff, like I know that's going to affect the business, side of things.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's just like those are the things that I instill and we talk about often. So that's why I like to incorporate them here on the show. So like diving into more of the entrepreneurial side of things, because I know you have the daytime, but what give us some of the things that it is that you do with regards to the business. First of all, let's talk about the name of your business. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so the name is Saha, and it translates to together or endure. And so for me, we
Mm.
endure through really hard things together as a community, right? We don't do
Oh,
it in silos, right? And this translates into, in my case, like health. And I don't want to just
Yeah,
say healthcare because like that's like one, but you're saying like the mental side of it is huge, and like finding people that you
absolutely.
jive with, that like you feel like they understand you, and you can make progress with, is a huge piece of it. So I'm working, like you mentioned, I have a full-time job right now, and I can't quit it right now because I have a work visa. And, I also don't want to totally blast through my savings and then be stressed, that add another stressor to my life. Right. So, um,
Absolutely.
and I'm balancing the two, and that looks like a mix of things. Like I'm on my lunch hour right now. It looks like me in the evenings working on Saha. It also looks like me on the weekends working on it and taking time off to work on it as well, which is a totally new concept. It also looks like changing my budgeting. So changing my
Mm,
vacations, changing the amount of times I go out to eat so that I can pay contractors to help me because I can't do everything. I
absolutely.
need help, right? And I can do some of it. Am I
Right.
good at it? I'm okay. Can somebody do it better?
Man,
Yeah.
that right there, let's get on that for a second because people believe because you can do everything that you're supposed to. And even as a startup entrepreneur, right? Even for
Mhm.
it is okay to want to bring people in and out the gate. But I love what you said. I have a fellow coach, and she's a therapist, life coach trainer. Shout out to my girl Sharika. But we did a women winning webinar last year, and we presented it, and she talked about taking time off, using your vacation time to pour into your business. It is PTO. You're still
Mhm.
getting you know what I'm saying? You're getting paid. And like you saying that today, I remember her saying that. And it's facts, right? If you know that you don't have anything planned, why not take a day off, in the middle of the week to say, you know what, this day I'm going to take this off and I'm going to work on my business. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
many people sit around and hold their vacation time to the end of the year, and then they're hurrying up and trying to take it before they lose it. But if you are on an entrepreneurial journey and you are wanting to do a side hustle, there's nothing wrong with taking a day off. I encourage that, right? And I love that you do that. Shout out to you for that. Like taking that day off to say, you know what, I'm going to sleep late for one, but then when I do get up from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm going to work on my business. I'm going
Mhm.
to work on, the foundations, the blueprints and stuff like that, because it's less stressful for one. And for two, it's a structure, it's a strategy. People think that strategies involve how I'm going to make $1 million. No, your strategy involves you saying, hey, 2 days out of the month, I'm going to use this one of the days of the 6 weeks of vacation time that I got, and I'm going to work on my business, dedicate that to my
Mhm.
business. I think that it's amazing, and I love that that you do that. So shout out to you for that. But
Yeah.
like also the weekends too,
Oh
also
yeah.
the balancing of the eating out, because I am such a habit person when it comes to eating out because I'm an empty nester, right? So hey, I
Mhm.
I don't got no problem with it. But I had to watch that and balance that because I am in the stage too where I pay myself in my business. I'm definitely blessed to be able to now. But because I knew that there were new things coming out, I knew that there were new things that I'm bringing to the platform. It was like, okay, you got to scale back a little bit because now you're pouring into this.
Mhm.
So like them are great tips. And if y'all ain't writing this stuff down, I'm gonna need you to make sure that you go back and listen again and write some of this stuff down because you never know how it's gonna help you.
Oh
You
yeah.
never know how it's gonna help you. So tell us a little bit more about the business. Like tell us how
Mhm.
you help people.
Yeah, so the business itself it's a platform. So I'm going to give an example, and it'll kind of
Yes.
make a little bit of sense. So there's a lot of us in the world. We all have our own health issues. We're all
Hmm.
individuals.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
when you think of like how many people there are in the world, and then how many people that can help find those, it's really hard to connect the dots. But then think
Hmm.
about it from like a different example. um, I'm sure everybody's booked an Airbnb, right? Like we've all
Yes.
booked it on some level. Like I booked it with friends. We want a high chair, we want kids, we want a backyard, we want to bring a dog, how many people, right? These are all filters, and it filters down and gives you an output in like a certain area,
Right.
certain date range, right? This is software. It can be complicated, it can be really simple. Why can't we do that for our health? Why can't we take all of these things that we're feeling or going through in addition to values? Like for me, it's really important to include values in there,
Yeah.
and then match you with providers who have availability, because like we can do a lot of things virtually right now,
Right.
who are experts, who like maybe you have certain religious beliefs, let's match you with someone so that feels right. And it's not like super complicated. So we do all the
Right.
hardware on the software side of it. Yeah. So
Right. Right.
that's like the basics of it. And then we have the way the business model works, which is a percentage off of the booking. So we're not charging people upfront to be on the platform, either the providers or the clients. We are just taking a percentage once something's booked.
Nice.
And then that percentage fee, a portion of that goes towards what I'm calling the SAHA fund. And the SAHA fund is for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford healthcare. Because I think it's
Nice.
important that not only the people who can afford it have access.
Like that's dope. Like I love that because you are absolutely right. And like here, I live in the Midwest, right? So like there are a lot of things that are not readily available. Like I'm gonna be honest, therapists. There are not, especially in my city particularly, there are
Mhm.
not a lot of therapists. Like there are months waiting list for that. You know what I'm saying? For just to talk to a therapist. There are months waiting lists to get into a dermatologist around here. Like it's crazy. My little cousin, was battling, some skin stuff, and they had to wait like 3.5 months to get in to see a dermatologist. And I feel like that is so unfortunate. So like you being able to put that type of platform together to make it more easily available, man, that shit is dope. And that shit gonna bang. I love it. Like
I'm so excited about it.
absolutely. What even made you think about that? Like, what made you even want to bring that type of platform to fruition?
Yeah, so I have a background in software. Like I've built software systems for companies for my entire career.
Nice.
And I've been going through, in addition to burnout and healing from that, my own chronic ankle injuries, which some of you,
Mm.
I realized this morning I was talking to a friend. I have the same size shoe as my grandma did, and she's like a foot and a half shorter than I am, right? Like this is a problem, like
Mm.
from a different level, right? Like makes me more prone to certain things,
Right,
in addition to
right.
other things, right? Yeah. So
Yeah,
I've been like trying to figure this out for over 2 years now, and like keep re-injuring myself. And
yeah,
I listed, I think I'm at over 30 different, what you can call modalities, but like, let's say chiropractic, physical therapy, red light therapy, like long list of different things.
right.
Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but also I did some of it in the wrong order. I should have waited, and I
Mm.
didn't know, because there's no one holding your hand and explaining to like, hey, you're at this point, let's help you get through to the next point. So I actually, through journaling of all the things, I went
Mm.
through a really bad breakup, and my friend is like, here's a journal, write stuff down. Also, this is a note for, listeners, write
Yes.
journaling. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can just, you could be doodling, whatever. But I was just, stream of consciousness. And I realized some of these people who have helped me are really terrible at marketing. They're really terrible at getting their name out there, because they're really good at what they do. Why should
Yeah.
we expect them to be good at, like, the rest too? That's
Right.
not fair.
Right.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I can do those two things. Like I can put those groups of people together and connect them in a way that makes it really easy for both sides.
I think that's dope. And the fact that y'all heard her say earlier that she goes and gets contractors, because here's the thing, we can learn everything. I tend to want to know everything about my business, all the back end, right? And I do
Mhm.
know 95% of the stuff that goes on within the back end and the administrative side of my business. But out of the 95% that I know, I probably only do maybe 65 to 70% of it. And I got to that point, obviously through a growth and whatever else. But like I know there's some things that I struggle with, and because I struggle with, I will not do it, right? I'll go and be like, okay, well, I'll go back to this.
Mhm.
And that's hurting my business. So, because it's a level of procrastination, we have to realize when we want to start businesses, we really have to understand, is this something we want to do for the short term? Are we just trying to make a couple bucks? Or is this something that we're really trying to create a legacy behind? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, like, I know that with what you have, that's legacy building behavior right there. And you know what I'm saying? I want you to share kind of a thrill, right? So with every guest on here, we definitely
Mhm.
talk about the thrills and the spills. So I kind of want you to talk about a thrill or a couple thrills that, might have been highlights, with regards to the entrepreneur journey. And so tell us about a couple thrills.
Yeah. So one of the things that happened this weekend is I met with someone I met at a networking event in
Mhm.
person. As friends,
Right.
we yeah, and we ended up chatting for 3 hours. She's like, "Oh, my husband might be worried about me." Uh, it's lunch, 3 hours later.
Right.
Um, Yeah, and what was really validating is she's like would be a potential provider on the platform, and I wanted to get her
Nice.
opinion on like I have a lot of like thoughts about what is valuable for people, what is not valuable for people, what systems are in place, like the things that we think about, but
Mm-hmm.
it's without having a end client to bounce that idea off of it. It's you really need to do your market
Yeah.
research there, right?
Yes.
And there wasn't one thing, and she's a very honest person that like she didn't agree with and align with. And I know
Mm,
what I'm doing isn't for everyone, but what I'm doing is for the type of person that she is, and so that's all I really care
absolutely.
about, right? So
Absolutely.
that was like a beautiful thrill. Um, that was exciting. There was another one I had thought of. Oh, I'm also on a different networking group, and I offered to help somebody help find a developer, right? Because to build a
Yeah.
website, whatever. So we get on a call. We end up talking about that for 5 minutes, and then we spend 40 minutes talking about funding and raising capital. Um, and and so I like was getting advice from her because this isn't something I've done before. And
Yeah.
halfway through, she's like, "Oh, you can easily raise 150K," and I was like, "I like, am I hearing
Like
this
what?
correctly?"
What did you
Like,
say
what?
now? What was that?
It's just like, well, now I got to do it. But like, it was just
Right.
really encouraging to hear based on her experience and what she's gone through. She's like, yeah, you can do it.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, and that I'm glad that you said that too, because both of your thrills were you being surrounded by like-minded individuals, like-minded
Mhm.
people who may not even be in the same industry as you, but they are all about the growth. They're entrepreneurial development, growth, building, networking. That is a key critical word when it comes to entrepreneurs. So many entrepreneurs, so many women that I talk to are like, "Oh, I don't feel comfortable with doing this." Okay, I'm telling you right now. Do you want a faceless brand? Let's talk about it. If you want a faceless brand, then that's a whole different strategy. It's a whole different ball game. But you are going to still have to get yourself out here, or you're going to have to hire somebody to do it for you. You
Yeah.
got to put your face in the place, people. You can't just wing that and just think that because you're sharing on social media every day that that's going to be a part of your
Yeah.
growth. You got to get yourself out there. When I first started, I did not want to be around people. And honestly, I still have anxiety issues when it comes to certain things. But I also pay attention to the energy too. Is the energy
Hmm.
the last time I was around that? How was the energy around that? Because maybe that's why my anxiety is like, yeah, I ain't feeling that. And I will roll with that. I ain't fooling with it. But
Yeah.
you are going to have to find your networking space, people. So I love that you did that and you
Yeah.
got motivated. So now you on the mind at 150K. That's on your mind. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Almost
hey,
there.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So with the thrills must come the spills. So definitely want to hear some of the spills of this journey that you have been on.
Uh, I have a literal spill for you. So I wanted to bring it up later, but earlier, but this works perfectly. So I went on a trip. I was really excited because I finally, after injury, could like be active, and I like
Yeah.
to be active and move.
Right.
And I was there for 3 weeks. I was working while being active and working on SAHA at the same time and hosting people because people came and stayed with me. The day before I left, I went down the stairs and I knew I was tired. Like at that point, I knew I was exhausted. I pushed
Yeah.
myself too hard. I shouldn't have been hosting people as much as I was. And it was even less than originally planned. I missed a step on the bottom step of the staircase and I broke my foot. This is
Oh,
2 months ago.
wow.
So, like, literal spill of, oh, you pushed yourself too hard, and your body's going to remind you in a really awful, awful way.
Yeah.
I was in the mountains by myself in a house. I didn't know anyone there. I had to check out the next day. Not all of my stuff was packed because I was going to, continue
Yeah.
packing the next day. And I had to figure out a way to drive 8 hours to get to a friend. Thankfully, I had my phone in my hand when I fell and I called my friend. I'm like, I need you to calm me down right now.
Oh my
But like,
God.
literal spill and awful. Like I'm still recovering from that.
We have to be prepared for those type of things. And I love that you had your phone in hand, right? Because who's just to say what would have happened if you didn't? You know what I'm saying? But also you being accountable for saying, you know what? I did way too much, right? And I hate to call this a consequence, and I'm not gonna call it that. It was an unfortunate misstep, but you also thinking were like, Yeah, it's because I was really just, doing too much. And I know I was. My body was telling me, but it was like, I can get through these last little couple days. I can make it. So I think the lesson to be learned with that, people, is to pay attention to your body, pay attention to the signs, pay attention to the signals. Because one thing that I had to learn is when my body is telling me, my back starts aching, I start getting headaches, I get tired. I don't like to take naps in the middle of the day. I don't need to. But if my body is like ready to lay down in the middle of the day, that's a sign for me. I need to
Mhm.
refocus and restructure. As we record this, yesterday was Mother's Day, y'all. And let me tell you, I did absolutely nothing. I went out and ate with family, and I came home and I did absolutely nothing. But baby, it was hard for me to not do anything,
Mhm.
right? But
Yep.
I woke up today so proud of myself because I did not do anything, and I stood by me saying I was not going to do anything. But it was a hell of a reset for me, and I woke up today refreshed and ready to get at it. And I have been so productive today. I had a plan in order, before
Mhm.
we recorded, and I have a plan when we're done, and I've been 100% on point with it, and I'm proud of myself for that because I don't always be on point. You know what I'm
You should
saying?
be. You should
But
be proud of
yeah.
yourself.
So
Yeah.
it just, really is going back to just paying attention,
Mhm.
to your body, paying attention to your mind. Your business is for the long term, people. Remember that. It's not going anywhere. If you don't get it done by Thursday, yes, set goals, set intentions, and be purposeful. But if it doesn't happen, it's not the end all to be all. Okay. It's not. You're still
Yeah.
going to be able to get up tomorrow and still do what it is that you have to do to continuously grow and elevate your business. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we head out, I definitely want you to share with my listeners a tip, a tool, a resource, something that can help them if they're thinking about starting a journey, if they're stuck
Mhm.
in their journey, if they need some encouragement, just something to motivate them, to tell them to keep going. What you got for us?
Yeah, I'll give you a book
Okay.
because why not? And book or TED Talk because it's on both. But this is what
Absolutely.
kind of helped me focus. So it's Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and it talks about how you need to figure out why you're doing what you're doing and what your why is behind what you're doing. Because if you don't have that, you're not gonna be able to keep going. And for me, that's been things like I am terrified to be like staring at a lens and being recorded. Podcasts are much easier, but for me to talk to a camera, we don't get along that great, and
Right.
we got to work on that relationship.
Right, right.
Like, every time it happens, I'm like, no, I believe more in what I'm doing than my terror of the thing I'm doing to make that happen, right?
Yes.
And so, being able to come back to what your why is incredibly important.
I love it. I love it. And it's so critical, y'all. You've got to have the why in order to elevate everything else. It's just that simple. The why has to be there. So that's amazing. And like I said, that I'll make sure that I share that in the podcast description notes too. Before we head out, please let them know where they can find you at.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at saha.collective, SAHA, or online on the internet, sahacollective.com. And you can sign up for our waitlist if you're interested in getting involved. We're going to be hosting focus groups and stuff soon. So if you like literally want to be involved, more than happy to have you.
Absolutely. I'm excited
Mhm.
about that. I'm gonna make sure I sign up for that as well too. So it has been a pleasure to have you here. Keep doing what you're doing. I think what you have is amazing, and it is going to be just so dope. And I'm just super excited about it. Continue success to you all. Everybody, you especially though, Alenka. So, but for everybody, make sure before I head out that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast wherever you're listening. Make sure you are subscribed because listen, the Woman's Hustle is us talking about the thrills and spills of this entrepreneur journey. Okay, nobody's journey is the exact same, but baby, you definitely are going to get some type of value, feel, resource, tip to help you continue on yours. All right. So y'all stay dope, stay focused. Talk to y'all later.